Okay, today our guest speakers are Scott Schoengarth, and he's from Catholic Community Services, and they're connected with Intercity Transit. And Curt Daniel, who is with Intercity Transit, he's going to talk to us a little bit about some of the programs that probably most of us aren't familiar with that they're doing. Transportation programs like travel training, bus buddies, dial lifts, and they even have others. So Scott's going to be the first one to talk to us, and then Curt will come up also. So let's welcome Scott and Curt.
Thank you, Larry. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here. This is neat. As I said, the name's Scott Schoengarth. I technically work for Catholic Community Services as the bus buddy coordinator. We have an in-kind contract with Catholic Community Services volunteer chore services also. And then I have an in-kind contract with Intercity Transit. So I work 2 days a week there, 2 days a week at Catholic Community Services, 1 day a week from home. And all of that is actually paid for by a grant from the Department of Transportation. So it's like one of those, it takes a village kind of thing just to get me to work. Which was my wife's idea, because I actually retired a year and a half ago, and after a year she said, enough of this stuff. So get out of here, find something. So I just do this part-time, but it's a lot of fun, and it's great programs, and I love to come out in the community and talk to different groups about that. Because Thurston County, the programs that we do, there are options for seniors, for the disabled, and for the youth, and Curt will be talking about that some. Now, when Rotary membership's a little bit different than the Lions and the Kiwanis that we talk to, because those are top-heavy with the 65-plus group. Rotary spans the globe here from 7th grade on up, so it's a little bit different. In other words, some of the information I'll be talking about may apply to you, but it may apply to your friends, neighbors, or your parents who are still around, or your grandparents or something, but it's information that's important for all of us to know. Basically what we're saying is there are programs existing in this county that most of you don't even know exist, and I can guarantee that because I didn't know they existed, and when we get out and talk to groups, people go, oh, I didn't know that. And then they come and ask questions, and Curt will tell them, you can take a bus with one transfer to the airport and get off and get on your airplane. It's like, I didn't know that. So by the time we're done in a few minutes, we'll at least been sharing some information with you and let you know what's going on. Now here's the senior truth. The senior truth is that the silver tsunami is here. It's here because, and there's no place to run and hide. And that's because 10,000 people a day in this country are turning 65 years old. And that's going to go on until 2039. So the next couple of decades, every day 10,000 people are turning 65 years old. So even though there may be some tsunami escape route signs down there by the ocean, it's just not going to work because it's coming and there's nothing we can do about it as far as making it stop. It's not going to stop, it's just going to get more and more and more. So sometime after age 65, realization starts setting in, is it still safe for us to be out there driving our cars? And if it's not, what other options are there? It's pretty dangerous out there. The older you get, you think you still got it up here, but you don't. And you're trying to go through the I-5 corridor with all that mess, or you're trying to go through downtown Olympia where they're crossing right in front of you like they did to me yesterday, or all of that kind of thing going on. The roundabouts are a real thrill for the 60, 70, 80-year-olds who never took a driving class telling you how to drive through a roundabout. The kids now, the 16-year-olds do, but not the 66-year-olds. So some of them are just making it up as they go along. And I'll give you two quick stories. One of them, this was early in June. I was heading down State Street past Ralph's as you're approaching First Street. And I had a green light, so did the car in front of me and the car over here. And this lady sitting over here who looked like she was about 90 years old was at the red light. And apparently either she decided she had waited long enough, or the signal over on 4th or 5th turned green 1 block away and she thought that was hers, and right out in front of us. So everybody slams their brakes on, and basically we circled her and nobody hit anybody, and she was just in total shock. But it may be that she thinks she has no other options, and so she's driving. But great example of somebody who probably shouldn't be out there driving, and almost really creamed some of us. And easily there could have been some kids in the car. So, and just now coming here, what is that? Lacey Boulevard that goes the other way, 3 lanes, and I'm in the middle. And some guy looked like my dad right before he died. He was in the middle lane with one of those giant tanks, mostly trunk and engine and a little bit of thing in the middle there. And he suddenly decided, and the guy in front of him was not very happy about this, he decided he was going to turn left into the shopping center, and so he just did, from the middle lane, just like that. So this guy's honking, and I don't think the guy had a clue. He was where he wanted to be. So sometimes you think, well, Grandpa's still driving at 92 and he's doing a great job. Well, he probably is driving at 92, but he may not be doing a great job. He just hasn't hit anybody yet. Everybody's getting out of the way. So, 3 questions. Show of hands here. How many of you took the Lacey subway to the Rotary meeting today? Tough to get you out of those cars, isn't it? Okay, then, how many of you took the new light rail to let you out at the St. Martin station on Abbott Way? Nobody, okay. Okay, this is an easy one. Yes or no, is Big Bertha currently tunneling under College Street?
It might be.
Yeah. Wouldn't be moving anyway, would it? Just be sitting there. So, the answers are no, no, and no. And so, this is Thurston County. This is not King County. This is not Pierce County. So, options maybe are not quite as multiple options, but there are options out there. Let me add a few more numbers to help you know what I'm talking about. In 2014 in this country, folks 65 and plus numbered just over 46 million, which 26 million were women, 20 million are guys. They outnumber us. The older we get, the more that's going to happen too. In 2016, I mentioned that 10,000 persons a day reaching age 65, but if people are turning 65, and on average, you're going to live another 20 years to 85, but also on average, you're going to lose your ability to safely drive after 7 to 10 years above that. So by 75, maybe you should be thinking of other options because you're going to be living at least till 85. So what do? And that's, of course, not everybody. Some can go forever, but the numbers are just increasing. Meanwhile, in the United States, people 85 and plus are projected to triple from 6 million in 2013 to almost 15 million in 2040. There'll be 15 million 85-year-olds out there still driving. So the number of folks outliving this, the ability to drive, is just going to keep increasing. And I know we're all defensive about that. No, I can do it. It's true, but the day's going to come. Curt and I do a lot of tabling events, like at Panorama and the senior centers and so forth. And ones that know we're coming, these couples will walk up and say, well, our children have been telling us it's time to turn in the keys, so what do we do? That's why we go out there and talk and let people know. I also want to mention, too, that 28% of seniors live alone, but 70% of those people are women. So what you're having, I live in a retirement community, too, and you have couples that have been together all this time, and then in many cases it's the guy who dies first, and the lady's left behind, and maybe they had one car and he was the driver. So what does she do? She's never taken a bus before in her life, and the kids live all over the country, and neighbors don't want to do it every time. So what do you do? Okay. In Thurston County, the solution is simple, and that is you take the bus. Now, this county is overflowing with accessible fixed route buses. There are 900, almost 1,000 bus stops out there where you can catch an Intercity Transit bus. They're everywhere, and that covers 97 square miles and 170,000 people. Now we know, Curt and I know, that not all areas are served, because every time we go out and talk, people tell us that. There's a big map with a circle around it, and that's where the buses go, and if you happen to live out here, like at Jubilee, you don't have bus service. Unfortunately, we find out a lot of retirement communities for folks that don't have a lot of money, so they're not at Panorama. They're sort of in the perimeter out there in these mobile homes. They're the ones that need the buses the most, and the service isn't out there. But we're working on it, let me tell you. I I know the taxes and all this kind of stuff. Curt and I have some plans we're doing with existing programs to present that may be able to get, you know, vans out to these areas where they once or twice a week and take these people to the closest bus stop, let them catch the bus for the day, and then they'll pick them up at 3 or 4 o'clock and bring them back home again. So we're working on it. So if you're in an area where you don't have bus service, we know. We really do. But we're working on it. Now, what Curt is a travel trainer, because we're finding out with a lot of these folks that they've never ridden the bus before, so they don't know how to pay, they can't read a transit guide, they're afraid of transfers, they don't know how to get on, get off. If they have some disabilities, how do they do that? How do they get on their walkers or their wheelchairs, or whatever it happens to be? How do you do that? And if they've never done it before since middle school when they were taking the yellow bus, it's really concerned. And somebody mentioned earlier too, is it safe? Am I going to get mugged? You know, and in fact we were talking to Greg here at the table that every bus has cameras on it, and there's buses at the bus center where they're watching every one of these buses and what's going on at the transit center, and you're always being watched out there, which is I think how they caught the guy that set that fire downtown a month or 2 ago. He was on the Intercity Transit television station, you know, so. But it is a real concern. There are things that we can do to help people be more comfortable riding the bus. And so Curt's going to come up now. He is a travel trainer. We have 2 travel trainers at Intercity Transit, and that's what he does. He'll do it one at a time or groups, and he'll teach them how to ride the bus. So why don't you come up and take a whole bunch of time to let them know what's going on. And then I'm going to come back and talk about bus bikes.
Take a whole bunch of time. He's left me 3 minutes. we do this. We give speeches all over the place. We do this. And every time I get up here, hi, I'm Curt Dano. I'm a travel trainer. Please try the service. Goodbye. It's Scott. I drove for 26 years for Intercity Transit, drove around here. And when somebody would get on my bus, the average cost of them riding the bus was $4. Last year we had over 5 million people ride Intercity Transit. If you take a Dial-Lift van, they average 400 rides a day, and it costs $45 for each person that rides that Dial-Lift van. So go over that in your head for a minute. And you're talking about the tsunami that's coming. How are we going to keep up with it? One of the reasons that we have a travel training department, I think it's a wonderful thing to have just because we go out and we train people. But a lot of it is if I get 4 people that are riding Dial-A-Lift, and if I get them to ride the bus instead of taking Dial-A-Lift, it will pay for my salary for a year. 4 people, and I do a lot more than 4 people. Now you think, well, why would they go from Dial-Lift if they need it, and now they're going to be riding the bus? Because a lot of people sign up for Dial-Lift and they think, that's what I need. I need a van to come pick me up. I need them to take me someplace. And then they find out that when they do sign up for Dial-Lift, first off, they have to qualify. They have to be able to where they can't get to a bus stop, or they have some kind of disability that warrants that they can ride it. But then they have to call up 1 to 5 days ahead of time to get Dial-Lift van. They need to be ready at least a half hour before the van shows up, and then they need to wait up to 15 minutes for the van to come and pick them up and take them where they need to go. You wouldn't believe all the people that have called me up and said, I do Dial-Lift and I really don't want to wait around. I want to try the bus. And then you find out that they can make it to the bus. They find out that the bus stop is about 2 blocks away. They find out that the buses most of our drivers are friendly. I say most of them because there's 160 drivers. You know, everybody's going to have a bad day. They find out the buses are clean. They find out the buses are safe. They find out that they can get to the airport for $7. And they find out all this stuff when I go to visit them. One of the first things that is said to me almost every time I go visit somebody about Dial-Lift or travel training is, though, I can't believe you have a service that is free and that is self-paced, that they don't have to pay anything for my service. And when they're riding with me, when I'm training them, they don't pay anything. If I'm training somebody to learn how to get to the airport, they don't pay anything. I have tickets and I pay for it. So that is one thing that I do concerning Dial-Lift. I have 2 things that I'll train anybody, but I have 2 favorites. The first favorite I have is training people with autism. I had no idea what autism was driving a bus for 26 years. I just was never around it, and I didn't know about it. One of the first people that I travel trained was a 16-year-old with autism. I went to the house, mom says, you know, I think Jimmy wants to ride the bus, but we don't think that he can handle it. And Jimmy's going, I can do it, I can do it. Well, we'll see. I trained Jimmy, it took me about a month and a half, twice a week, and Jimmy learned how to ride the bus and go down and work a job that he worked for 2 hours, then he gets back on the bus, and then he goes home. After that, the mom couldn't believe that he could do this. So Jimmy said, you know, I really don't want to live at home forever. And remember, in their parents' minds, Jimmy's going to live at home forever. By the way, Jimmy isn't his real name. I can't remember his name, so everybody's Jimmy. So Jimmy then found a group home that he wanted to live in. Now Jimmy's living in a group home and is doing really well. My other favorite is I love helping people that have sight impairments. I didn't realize what it must be like to move to a new city and not know how to get to a bus when you have 5% of your vision. I trained a gal named Pam. It was in the Olympian about 2 years ago. They did a story on Pam and I. And Pam was really frightened to learn a new system. She was so frightened she wouldn't call up travel training, her friend did. Her friend called up and said, I want you to go over to this place. Pam knows you're coming, and I want you to talk to her about riding the bus. So I went over to Pam's place. I knocked on the door. Pam didn't answer the door. I didn't know this, but Pam was right on the other side of the door looking at me. Finally, after about 5 minutes, I'm getting ready to turn around, and the door opens, and she let me in. And she told me about how frightened she was. She was from Yakima. She'd never rode the bus here before. So I taught her with her 5% vision how to get from her apartment, how to get to the bus stop. That took about 4 times at about 2 hours a time. Then we learned how to get on the bus. And thank God, it was really nice that the driver that showed up opened the door, said, good morning, and was just the perfect Intercity Transit bus driver. Some you get to open up the door, you know, they're human beings, we have bad days, I have bad days too. But this driver was so nice, it really made an impression upon her, and that took away half her fear that she was afraid that drivers wouldn't help her. So this driver knew that when the door opens and you see somebody with a white cane, you go, good morning, so they can center themselves to the door. Then I showed her how to get to what seats are the best ones to take. And then we learned how to get to Safeway. We learned how to get off at the right stop and how she would go to the front of Safeway. And generally speaking, Safeway's really good. Some stores aren't, Safeway is. That somebody would come out, see the white cane and says, can I help you? And then they would take her shopping. So it was really great. I got Pam all trained. And then we were all done with our training. And Pam said, I'm really going to miss you, and how am I going to get to places? Am I going to have to call you every time I want to get to Home Depot? And it just like a light went off and said, no, call a bus buddy, because a bus buddy will show up free of charge, lend people that want an arm. I'm training somebody that's totally blind right now, and she does not want an arm. She is really independent. But I trained her at all these different places. Matter of fact, I trained her yesterday how to get to Trader Joe's. And she now had called a bus buddy, 2 days ago, called Millie, one of our newest bus buddy people, and Millie gave her an arm. She doesn't like to take an arm, but when she's never been to a place before, that arm is really welcome. Like I said, I've been doing this for about 4 years, and I love my job. And the best thing about it is that when I go to somebody's house and they say, I can't believe that this is available to me for free. And there's sometimes I can change their lives. I'm very appreciative for that. Thank you.
On your tables, there's Bus Buddy and travel training brochures, and we have more down here if you want to take one. Bus Buddies are volunteers. I've got about 9 of them now in the county who... Anybody who calls up and says, gee, I'd like to ride the bus, and I could use to have somebody go with me, whether it's locally, whether it's because they're going up to UW for medical appointments or the airport or whatever it happens to be, we have an intake specialist from community volunteer services who will book that up, get a hold of one of the buddies, and then through Intercity Transit, it'll put together the route for them. Then the buddy calls up and says, hey, I'm going to meet you at the bus stop or at your door or whatever, and away they go. And it's working really, really good. Another thing Curt didn't mention, Diana, who's the other travel trainer, is into these trips that she's putting together. Now, I live at Colonial Estates, which is a lot of couples, but when one of them dies, a lot of them are moving to places like Colonial Inn next door. So you're now on your own, but you're still taking care of yourself and so forth. And some of those ladies over there, because I go over there and sing a lot, were complaining because on the weekend, their activities person is off on the weekend. What do they do? And so Diana's been over there and starts this travel club where she'll meet with a whole group of them and decide, okay, next Saturday we're going to catch the bus right outside and go down to farmer's market and have lunch and do some shopping and so forth, and we'll get a bus buddy to go with you. And after you've done that once or twice, the idea is that they can do that on their own. Now they realize, oh, the buses are safe, here's how to get it, here's where to pick it up, and so they go and do that kind of thing. And that gets more people riding the buses and out of their houses and their apartments and so forth. So it's just a great way to do it. I know time's running short, but I just want to mention one more thing. There's a lot of programs in Intercity Transit. We're not talking about Village Vans, which is a program for people, if the only obstacle to getting a job or going to an interview is transportation, they got Village Vans that'll take them there for free and drop your kids off at daycare. When you see these van pools run all around the place at the state agencies, those are actually through Intercity Transit van pools that they train the drivers, set them up how to do it. And then when those vans are retired, there's a whole bunch of them parked there, they have a community van program where any nonprofit will come out there and train one of your people to drive the van, and then you can book it up ahead of time if you want to take up to 12 people from your church or your organization someplace, and transportation is the problem. You can book it up, and all you pay is like 86 cents a mile for the gas and the insurance and so forth. So, and they got a few other programs too. So lots of things going on. We're trying to listen to people, find out what else they need, and build these up, and make sure that even here in Thurston County, people can get around when they shouldn't be out there driving the cars. Okay, now, we got time for any questions and answers. Get up here, Curt. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to compliment Transit on that juvenile ticket they have for all summer long. I think it's got to be a great program for young people to be able to get around the community.
Curt goes out in, September?
Mm-hmm.
And they go out to the schools.
Yep.
Tell them about that real quick.
Well,
Greg's trying to get rid of us here.
Oh, no. So what we'll do is we'll have a bus. We'll go out there with a bus, and usually the special needs classes that are out in the high schools. And we will take them in the bus. We'll take them down to our headquarters down here. They'll go through the bus wash. One of the mechanics will show them a wrench that's this big. That is the highlight of the trip, seeing that big wrench. So we go to all the schools in this area in September, and we show them how easy it is to ride the bus, and then they go home and tell their parents, and their parents say, no, I don't want you to ride the bus, and they say, yes, I can, and then there's the success story once again.
Back there, the lady in the back.
Yeah, I have a question. A student from Tumbleweed High School, 16-year-old, that's going to do the Running Start program at South Puget Sound, non-bus rider. Would she qualify for a buddy for the first time?
Everybody qualifies. The only thing, there's some people that I've heard this, my son or daughter wants to be travel trained, and I go see them, and they have a disability where I go, I think they should be on dial-up. That is the minority at times. But yeah, that is exactly what I do. So my card is on your table. Give me a call, and what I will do is that I will do the preliminaries, see what the strengths are, see what they want to accomplish. Then I'll show them how to pay. I might be with them 1 or 2 times. That's the one thing I don't like about training seniors, is that they're 80 years old, I show them 1 time, then they don't need me anymore, they go to bus buddies. So I'd be happy to help, and then if they need any more help out there, we got Scott.
Yep. So, yeah, you're eligible for bus buddy just if you breathe. That's all you have to do is breathe. Yes, sir, right there in front of you.
2 questions. First is a reality check. In driving this morning, I passed 3 people that were much younger than I am who are looking on their cell phone. The first question is, proportionally, do people 75 to 85 have more or less accidents than individuals who are 16 to 26? That's the first question.
Okay.
The second question is, are there any apps that if I were, say, right here and I wanted to go to Trader Joe's, I could press an app and says, this is the bus where I would meet to take me to a certain place? Are there any applications?
You take part two.
To part 2?
Yeah, go ahead.
What happened to part 1?
Just, I'll get to it.
Okay. Don't want to see you walking out.
Just do it.
Okay. Go to the website, you type in intercitytransit.com, and the website will turn you on to apps for that. Also, they have One Bus Away that will show you exactly when your bus is coming. They also have a guide that you'll put in your address. Most of the time it works. Put in your address of where you want to go, what time you want to depart, or what time you want to arrive, and you push that and it'll come up. It'll show you exactly time by time what's the nearest bus stop to where you're at.
Great.
Thank you.
I would say the insurance company will tell you the 16-year-olds cost more than the 75-year-olds do. But also at 75, they may only give you insurance 1 or 2 years at a time and watch your record and so forth. But the distractions are amazing. I yell at people, which my wife says I shouldn't do, but I'm yelling, get off the phone! I says, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Also, about cell phones, when I travel train kids or travel train people that are young, we have stranger danger. It's a fine line. You don't want to freak them out, but you want to also tell them about talking on your cell phone, how to be aware of your environment when you get off the bus. Don't ever get off the bus talking on your cell phone, not know where you're at. Because as a driver, I would see kids get off the bus and start walking down the sidewalk, not looking at any kind of environmental thing, looking at their cell phones. So we add that in when we're doing our training. But not enough to where it discourages them or they get a false sense of doom out there.
One more. Back in the back, stand up.
So yesterday I had the opportunity to go to the Mariners game. So I asked my wife.
How'd that work out for you?
Yankees.
The best part of the adventure was the bus ride. But so I caught the bus down. I called Intercity. They gave me the information I needed, gave me the routes, and it cost me $6 for my wife and I to get up to the stadium and $3.75 to get home. So you're paying for parking for $30, and you sit in the same traffic that the bus is moving. The bus is actually moving faster than anybody in the traffic. But I thought it was a great. The one problem I had was I left from the Lacey parking right on Markway, and when we got up there, caught the bus to come back, it only went to the other parking right at 111, and so therefore I had this gap of about 3 miles of where the car was and where we were. So I went to Montezuma's and sent the wife on with a friend of hers, and she went and got, and I had my margaritas. So anyway, it was great. We went up and back.
So next time you guys want to do that, call a travel trainer, because I would tell you, you caught a 603 and the 603 will not go back to the Lacey, or you can call customer service and just make sure that they got you on the right bus so you don't have a gap. Because there's a bus, the Sound Transit bus leaves downtown starting about 4:30 in the morning and goes directly to Seattle, okay? Goes directly to Seattle till about 7:30. Then at about 3:15, that Sound Transit bus starts coming all the way back to Olympia. But it's a 560?
How would I know?
Okay. But if you get on the wrong bus, it only goes as far as DuPont, and it has the same number on it.
So that's what we ran into.
592. Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a bus buddy right there.
Ask one more. Kathy, you're it.
I don't have a question, but there was a little piece, a little blurb in the Rotarian, in the Rotary magazine a couple months ago, from citing a research study that showed that when people give up their driver's licenses, that's often a cause of depression. And for those of you who live in the Lacey area, just let you know that we're at Panorama, we are aware of all these things. In fact, we've been working with Intercity Transit and Amtrak, and we have an initiative called Drive Less, Go More, helping people to learn how to use all the other resources before they have to. So when they give that up, hopefully it's a little easier.
That's just real quick. That's really interesting that you'd say that, because I go to Panorama a lot, and I'm telling you that when I go in and there's an 80-year-old lady who has to drive a car, 9 times out of 10, you can tell, she's sad. She does not want to give up her car. But when you start telling her about all the services that are available, they're smiling when I leave.
How about a round of applause? Hey, good program, great stories and super information, and obviously Intercity Transit's being creative in what they're doing, so we appreciate that very much. Bill, when you said $6 going up and $3.75 coming back, I thought for sure you left Barbara in the stadium. No? All right, hey, in appreciation of the gentlemen joining us here and being our speakers, we're going to donate a book to the South Sound Reading Foundation on your behalf. And Curt, I didn't know you were going to be here, so I'm going to add your name after when you sign it here.
Okay.
If you would sign. Yeah, but you remember your name, right? So here we go.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, the name of the, I tried to get close to the topic.
Oh,
This is the Magic School Bus and the Electric Field Trip, so here we go.
Across the word school now.
Yep.
Great idea.
Okay. Thanks again.
All right, thanks, Greg.
Appreciate it.